Well, welcome back to the Network Effect, which is a subsidiary of the Mindful Mondays MKE. As I mentioned, my name is Shantel Bacchus. I am the co-founder of the Network Effect, as well as the owner of Bacchus Insurance Group. I'm sitting here with my business partner, Fredrick Robinson.
Yes, I'm the owner of Greenwood Park Gallery and Framing. And today we have three different speakers that we're going to introduce to you. And I would like to introduce you to Patrice, McBeath. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Patrice. The topic we're talking about today is really important. It's the holidays. You see Thanksgiving just passed this past weekend, and a lot of people spoke about losing family members. I just mentioned that to you myself. And there's a lot of grief to deal with during the holidays when, usually families come together. The holidays are meant for. So thank you for joining us today to just share some tips, some things that we could do with our family members, some tips that we can share with other family members, and how we can get in contact with you if we would like to meet with you or other therapists to get some help. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your McBeath Consulting?
Well, my name is Patrice McBeath, and I'm the owner and founder of McBeath Consulting, LLC, and I'm a clinical mental health counselor that specializes in trauma, all things trauma. I find joy and delight in ensuring or helping people get to that point where they see the light come back on and they start feeling better about the things that they've experienced in life. Currently, right now, we are taking people in for therapy, and we do have some events coming up.
Go ahead, please. Just don't mind. I just want to make sure we get you a mic here as well, because I want to make sure I can hear what you have to say as well. Let me just share that with you. That's a good thing about doing this live. You can see everything we're doing behind the scenes as well as in front of the camera.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Now you were saying everything trauma. That's what you really specialize in, trauma as well. Okay.
Yes, domestic violence, sexual violence, and even trafficking. I've been stepping more into trafficking because we see a lot of that in our communities now as well.
Now that was a surprise to me. I did not know that Milwaukee is actually one of the major cities for trafficking,
Yes.
like sex trafficking. I was unaware of that too. Has this been going on for some years, or is this something that we just got the title for?
This has been going on for some years now, and it's right in our faces, and we really don't pay attention to it or bring much attention to it because no one likes to talk about that topic.
Yes, and that's what we're here for. We're going to talk about topics that people do not want to talk about, because to my understanding that the sex trafficking is really our teenagers. It's not as much as adults. Is that correct, or am I missing something there?
Well, it's hitting all ages, but for teenagers, it's looking a little different too, because teenagers can also be the ones who are recruiting other youth to do it. And some of them don't even realize what's happening to them, and they think that it's their choice. But we know that teens cannot consent.
Yes, but they don't have the age of consent too. So that's something to keep in mind too, huh?
Yeah, it is. Now, explain to the audience here, why would you consider, why are they considering Milwaukee one of the biggest cities with this terrible problem? Milwaukee's not a real big city. There's bigger cities, even next door, Chicago. But why is it so prevalent in Milwaukee?
I really can't answer the why, but I know that it is a hub and that it's happening at significantly large numbers here in our city.
Right.
And it's very sad. If you pay attention to when different large events are happening and you start noticing youth and children and women come up missing, my mind always go right to that.
So when you say larger events, you're talking about like different conventions downtown. We have that it's not the Bear Center now, or there used to be Midwest Express Center. So when we have different events downtown, you're not just talking about our personal parties.
Absolutely,
Okay.
It's the huge events like the RNC, the DNCs, and things like that. Like there are task force that actually put out information to bars and hotels and restaurants around giving information out to people or women who we may not even, they're walking in and we may not even think that that's what's occurring, but helping bars be able to find or see what trafficking may look like.
And I've seen things like that. I know if you go to the washrooms being a lady, they'll tell you different things. If you see young girls, or they usually have pictures of young girls in there. I think that's why my mind probably went to that. But they do tell you things to look out for sex trafficking and how to notice it and possibly report it too.
Absolutely.
So that's good to know that that's a resource for you. So in addition to trauma, you can also help. Let's say some young women have been introduced to this, or they've been invited to this. This is a service that you can assist with as well. well.
Yes, because the recovery parts are difficult, right? So we know when people experience things and it's just like, okay, let's get the police involved, let's get them to safety, but then the mental pieces need to be worked and addressed because those things sometimes are left undealt with, and then people start having major issues, and it's you can have relational issues, working issues, just all the things can become an issue or problem.
Yes, that's good to know.
Now, does it here in Milwaukee, since you're close to it, does it affect a certain community, African American community more, or Asian community, or is it just a broad problem here in the city?
It's a broad problem, but we are seeing our youth, our African American boys and girls being trafficked. And it's like sometimes we just think young women, but it's also young men as well.
Yes, honestly, when you just said that right now, I think my mind was going towards the young women, you know, which I think we so often do. We just think about women and young women, but that's something as well, the young men.
Yeah. Because even with sexual trauma, we ideally don't look at it as men are experiencing sexual trauma, even domestic violence.
Right.
Men experience all sorts of violence too.
Yes.
And they're less likely to come forward because of the guilt and shame around it. And the stigma, men can't get sexually violated, or you didn't get beat up by your partner.
Right.
Exactly. I think, as you said, that what you mentioned right there too, the embarrassment or the stigma too, because that's the same with mental health. I know especially in my community, my family, things of that nature, it's always going to be a stigma too for mental health. What are some tips that you can share with possibly ourselves, the audience that we have here too, as well as online? If you are dealing with something and you do want to ask for help, where you may not feel you are supported with your family or your friends or your community, what are some other outreaches that people can go to?
And I love that question because oftentimes, especially in our community, what happens in my house stays in my house. Just pray about it, you'll be okay. It's okay to pray, but it's also okay to seek help and support. Because one of the things, like we talked about the grief situations with the holidays. This is the season where everyone's supposed to be happy and jolly. And if you're not, sometimes people are looking at you like you're the problem or there's an issue. So we put on a mask and we push through it. But part of the thing with grief and trauma is that it's going to happen. And I had a session today with my mentor, and we were discussing these topics alone. We know that it's going to happen. So giving yourself time and space to be intentional about, allowing yourself to feel what you're going to feel. Because most times we feel the thing and we push it back down. And as we're pushing it down, it only gets bigger and bigger. And then it turns into a behavior. It turns into us doing something irrational, whether that's using, drinking, doing other things that brings pleasure, but we're not dealing with what's really going on inside of us.
We're sweeping it under the rug.
Sweeping it under the rug.
Which is not solving the problem.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's only compounding it and making it bigger.
Yeah. So with your experience, what do you think is the number one thing for an individual to get through trauma? Not just during the holidays, but since this is the holidays now, but what helps us? Because we all have trauma. We have trauma from years ago. We have trauma from nowadays. I mean, we as humans, especially coming from the community we come from, we can't escape it.
No, you're right. Just even the world that we're currently living in,
Right.
the trauma that we're all experiencing or have experienced. But the biggest thing for me is the acknowledgement of what you're experiencing.
Right.
Because oftentimes we just brush it off to the side.
Yes.
I call it the superwoman syndrome. I'm good, I'm okay, I'm fine.
Right.
And we keep going and we keep pushing. And we push to the point where like our bodies physically begin to react to what we're experiencing, and it can actually shut down. The stress, the high blood pressure, the chronic diseases, the chronic pain, all of those things become an issue and a problem. So first we really have to acknowledge what we're feeling, acknowledge what we've experienced, and identify it as like, yeah, that was bad. That sucked. That didn't feel good. But most of the time we just don't. We just shoulder it and keep pushing.
Yeah. I get that. Like everything else, you have to get to the answer. You have to admit that you have that.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
It's like getting to the root of the issue, because oftentimes we don't. And I always look at our community like you see a lot of wounded people walking around.
Yeah.
Of course, yes. I think that is a great point that you made about acknowledging it or even taking the time, because just even in my business that I do, when you speak about deaths, a lot of times people are not properly insured, if they don't have enough life insurance, of course I'm going to mention life insurance, but what I found is you really can't grieve, that while you're planning a funeral, you're asking different people for money, you're trying to do fundraisers, things of that nature. So I know sometimes when I talk to my clients, having life insurance or long-term care, things of that nature, is really a peace of mind too. So I know when you're saying really acknowledging it, what can you do? Let's say if you really don't have if you have children or if you have other people that depend on you and you really don't have the time, you still have to go to work, you have to get up the next day. What are some tips that you would recommend that someone could do if they sort of have to not push it under the rug, but they just sort of have to still live life, and while they're dealing with this grief?
And that's when I said, be intentional, because when it's coming up, of course, in front of our kids all the time, we can't break down. At work, we can't break down in the middle of doing a session, right? So being intentional about saying, okay, I'm feeling this. I'm gonna go take 10 minutes to the back. Or I'm gonna go in the bathroom. I'm gonna cry, allow myself to feel it, let it come out. But most of us, when we get afraid of allowing that emotion to come up because we don't know what it's gonna do. So allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling and setting time frames, okay, at night, tonight, I'm gonna go take a bath and I'm just gonna allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. I'm gonna identify it. I'm gonna name what it is, and then put things in place around what's happening.
That's a great point that you made there too, because like you just said, even crying, sometimes you're always told, especially I know the males around the family and things of that nature, don't cry, you can't cry. Right. So you're saying it is okay to grieve. You don't want to be doing it for 24 hours per se, but it's okay, to cry. It's okay to feel a certain type of way and deal with that emotion at that time.
Yes, it's definitely okay for you to cry and to feel, and that's one of the things too. I work with a lot of men, allowing yourself to emote. Because I feel like as a woman, we need the men in order to heal our world. Because I feel like it comes from men. Yes. Because you're the head, right? So we need you to be able to express your feelings, say what it is, and not just walk through this life without being able to give yourself what you need as well.
Right. Now, speaking of that, as a man, I don't have any problems with communicating. Right? No, I mean really, but I don't. But there's so many men in our community that come from trauma, and their parents and their parents or their fathers and their mothers are not teaching them to be open like that. So then we need to learn how to be open like that. So we can be supportive to our women.
Absolutely. And I just did a healthy relationship 6-week workshop with a group of men, and it was absolutely phenomenal because just like what you're saying, some of the things that I was teaching, they never experienced that. They didn't know what was healthy or abusive or unhealthy. And so just even changing the wordage from being abusive to causing harm. Yeah, because sometimes we look at people and we know about abusive situations, but sometimes we don't even identify that as abusive because that's what I came up in, right? I saw my dad beating my mom, so that's what I'm going to do. I saw my uncle calling all women different other names. So we are the products of our environment. And it takes a conscious effort for us to make those different changes for ourselves. Like if I don't like it, I need to be the change and I need to do something different.
And we need to break the cycle.
And breaking the cycles. Because we got children looking at us and coming up behind us.
And we're reflecting this mission. We have Patrice joining us later from Reflective Images, but just to reflect, So that's something to keep in mind. You just mentioned you did a 6-week workshop. So those are services that you can offer as well, where you can come to different organizations and do workshops. It's over a span of time.
Yes, I love training. You get to reach more people in one setting than, I love individuals as well, because it's more intimate and, that's where you can do more of the processing. But the education and the training pieces are very integral to change as well, because we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly. Yeah,
so why don't you let the audience know how to reach you, so if they know someone or if anyone's listening, how they can reach out to you.
Absolutely. My phone number is 414-573-1084, and my website is www.McBeathConsulting.com. And you can also find me on Facebook, McBeath Consulting and Patrice McBeath.
Yeah, so all you have to do is actually follow us, and we will share Patrice's information. Please like her page as well as follow her, because I do have a few more questions for you as well, Patrice. Now, you do mention like for the personal therapy, things of that nature. So what's the process? You know, a lot of people, you know, you talk about therapy, but it's like, okay, what do I do? Do you take insurance, private pay? Like how does that go if someone wanted to seek some of your services for individual therapies?
I take insurance and I take private pay. Right now, I'm credentialed through United Healthcare, Molina, Chorus, and iCare. I can't think of all the others, but those are the primary ones I currently take. And so it's basically you getting in contact with me, we establishing you signing all the paperwork, and then we establish care and we arrange your first appointment. And I also do virtual or in person.
Okay. And I know you gave us a few tips at the beginning in regards to grief during the holidays. The first was acknowledging it, giving ourselves some time to grieve, you know, to feel the pains that we're feeling or the feelings that we're feeling. Yes. Is there any additional tips that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
I got
7 more. Let's go. That's
so
what
we
we're
have
for.
Setting boundaries, like learning how to communicate, like what you need to other people. And also the other biggest one is saying no. Because most of us struggle with saying no when people ask us to do something because we feel guilty. We don't want others to feel a certain way about if we say no. But you have to set boundaries around your peace, your time, your space, because it's so important. The third one is create new traditions. When we lose people, especially like the major people in our families,
the nucleus of the family. Yes, you're right. That's a big deal.
That's hard.
Yes, there's actually a post going around right now. When you lose something of the family, the holidays aren't the same anymore. So I think that's a big point. What you're saying right there, new traditions. Okay.
Yes, you're fine. That's totally important because you have to create something new or if not, we'll stay stuck in the old. Right. And like create yourself a new ritual with your family. Like this year, me, my mother, and her sisters, we all came together to make my grandmother's dressing. You know, because she was the one that made it. Also, it was great. we hit it too. We did it good. And then number 4 is seek support. Most of us refuse to ask for help. It's important for us to seek support when we need it, knowing those people in our lives who can provide that support for you. Self-care is a big word, but truly practicing self-care. Self-care is just not about getting your hair done, your nails done, No, it's the real things, the things that bring you joy, that make you feel good from the inside out. So stepping into some of those things, like I encourage you doing soothing activities, and limit overcommitment. How many of us overcommit ourselves?
So just have enough hours in the day. So stress your own self out before you get the day started. Okay.
Because you got so much planned, and then there's nothing left for you. So you're exhausted by the end of the day.
Yes, I get it.
And be present in the moment. Most of us, we are not present. We are, like I said, I never seen this spot.
Right.
For how many years it's been here, I never seen it.
How many years you been in France?
20.
So how did I not see this coming down Fond du Lac? I lived up the street, you know. So it's just like being present in the moment. So if there's a family function that you necessarily don't want to be at,
have Fred call me.
Don't
take the call.
Call me in 20 minutes.
Right.
Have an exit plan, and also simplify and reduce expectations for the holidays. Focus on like the things that matter.
Right.
And not just the gifts, and because that's always stressful for everyone. Some people don't need, my children, for example, they don't even need anything, but you just feel obligated to put something under the tree to give them a gift. So definitely they're getting older where they understand that more. So that makes a lot of sense.
And it's the obligation, right? And they don't need. Most of our kids probably just don't even need the thing. But it's like the most important part is family time and, coming together and honoring family.
Yes.
And the last one is allow joy, release guilt, because it's okay for you to also grieve and also have joy.
Yes.
Our family members would not like for us to be, feeling down. They would expect for us to still move on and have joy and be the best selves that we can be.
Yeah, for me, it's the no, and it's the overcommitment. And I've learned too, a lot of times we get in our own way.
Absolutely.
Sometimes. Those are some great points.
They really are. You know, they seem like they were simple, but it's like, even just sitting here thinking about it now, a couple of things, the no is okay for me too, the overcommitment. And I think you said being present. Because, sometimes I'm always thinking about the next step. What I be doing after this? What I could be doing after that? So just, having joy in the moment. Those are some great tips.
Yes. We always have our plans in our head rolling out. But it's like, okay for us to enjoy this moment. What
this
is this
enjoyable.
Like?
This is really is. I really enjoyed you here. I love you, girl. And thank you so much for sharing with us today, too. Thank you all for joining us, as we mentioned. Patrice, once again, if you want to share one more time how they can get in contact with you besides following us, because we're going to share her information, liking our page and sharing it, also liking her page and sharing it. What other ways can they get in contact with you once again, Patrice?
My number is 414-573-1084. And you also can go to my website, which is McBeathConsulting.com.
Yes, so please do that. And what we want to mention as well, as I said, I do health insurance. So if you are without health insurance and you're looking to see a therapist, of course, we have an excellent one right in here in front of us here. We're also going to put some resources in the comments later on today, so come back to this page about a directory where you can find different therapies or therapists as well. As I mentioned, I do insurance, and insurance does cover therapy for you. It's one of the things that is actually mandated as coverage. So if you are looking for therapy and you don't have insurance, feel free to give us a call at Bacchus Insurance Group. We can be reached at 414-716-6274. And we're going to come right back. We have Tiffany Rooker of Out and About Transportation with us. And we also have Therese Burks of Reflective Images. She's a beautiful sculptor here, and to hear a couple of her pieces that she's going to talk about when we come back here. So don't go anywhere. As I mentioned, put your notification on. We'll be right back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you so much.